Thank you so very much. So, Mr. Femi Boyede, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Lady K. And it gives me a singular pleasure to welcome everybody here today. Of course, Talking Trade and Investment Global was conceptualized and brought to birth because of our realization that trade is a necessary part of the day-to-day life of humanity as a whole. Trade cuts across all countries, continents, and borders, and trade actually makes, like I would want to say, makes the world go round. But trade cannot happen successfully, smoothly, and profitably unless certain gaps are filled. Gaps that have to do with information about the places you are trading with or you are targeting to trade with, what happens there, what is happening in the global world itself, what are the trends and what have you, policies, regulations, import and export frameworks and environments. This is what, or these are what Talking Trade and Investment Global set out to fill. I mean, these gaps, to fill these gaps and to equip people with the necessary arsenal to trade profitably in the global market. We've been on this now for close on 2 years. In another 3 months, we'll be celebrating our second annual anniversary. And I want to say with pride and with gratitude to all those who have stayed the course with us, as well as our guest speakers, that those who have been with us will attest to the fact that the quality has, we started on a very high note and we have tried and succeeded in improving on a month-to-month basis, not only in terms of the quality and the caliber of our guest speakers, but especially in the content of what they have been presenting. We also have a very hands-on Mr. Ibrahim Haruna, who on every edition tries to give us a bullet point, a roundup of what has been said in such a way that it can become a point of reference. Having said that, today was inspired by the topic of today and the choice of the speaker were inspired by an immediate challenge. Right now in the Gambia, it's going on the 16th Gambia International Trade Fair. The government of Nigeria, through SMEDAN and NEPC, has tried to support 40 Nigerian enterprises to take part in that. Sorry about that. Had tried to support 40 Nigerian entrepreneurs to participate in the Gambia International Trade Fair. And yours truly was privileged to be on what you will say is an advanced team, as in when we tried to arrive in the Gambia with the Nigerian delegation, the initial team encountered so many challenges that we just thought, well, if this could happen to a government-supported two-man delegation, what is actually happening out there? And then we put this side by side in the perspective of a Nigeria that is currently positioning itself to participate actively in the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. And so we just thought, hey, let's do another practical, pragmatic, real-time experience sharing. And that's why we have Mr. Faleke. Mr. Faleke has been with the Nigeria Export Promotion Council for over 30 years. He's gone across departments. Currently, he's heading the Market Access Department of NEPC. And of course, who better than the person who is wearing the shoes right now to take us through these challenges. Please note that this is not a pity party. It's not an attempt to overflog those challenges and experiences that we hear on a daily basis. Rather, we are bringing this up as a highlight to generate engagement in such a way that together we can fashion out solutions that the government agencies themselves, especially NEPC and SMEDAN in this instance, can actually walk around, work with, and use as a springboard to equipping Nigerian exporters to participate more easily, more smoothly, and more profitably in trade on the continent with ECOWAS as the perspective. So please, on this note, join me in welcoming Mr. Babatunde Faleke, Director, Market Access Department of the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, and our guest speaker for the edition of March 2023. Thanks so much.
Yes, so we have Mr. Faleke coming in today now. Who is he? Mr. Babatunde Faleke. He is the Director, Market Access Department of the Nigeria Export Promotion Council. He holds a BSc Honors degree in Economics and a professional master's in Human Resources and Industrial Relations. He has been in the service of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council for the past 32 years. As a trade promotion officer, he has served the council in various capacities to facilitate the development and promotion of Nigeria's non-oil exports across the globe. He is widely traveled and on non-export promotion activities and married with children. Mr. Babatunde Faleke, you have the floor. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much, and I really want to commend the group for the job well done and for what we were able to achieve. And honestly, I have my slide and I've shared it with you, but I will only read out the outline and dwell on three main issues here. The number one is of the outline is that I look at the Intra-Africa trade as a whole. I look at objective of Intra-Africa. Then I look at membership of Africa. I look at challenges of Intra-Africa trade, SME survival under Intra-Africa, Nigeria participation at Africa after, the impact on Intra-African trade on ECOWAS. Honestly, for the purpose of academics, this is okay. But I want to be practical, like my brother, my senior colleague, and a very export promoter, Mr. Boyd, have said. We want to look at the solution. We look at the challenges we are facing. Then how do we turn those challenges to opportunities? Because they are really opportunities, they are challenges, but it can be surmountable. Let me first look at the objective. If going by the objective of the AFTA, is so rich. One is to attract investment, is also to boost trade, provide better jobs, reduce poverty, and increase shared prosperity in Africa. And it's also, by the time we trade among 55 AU, all of us together, you look at this objective, they are so big and very interesting. But the truth is that well conceived, good one, very dynamic, achievable, but on a slow motion. Going by the objective, there is nothing as good as it. Like I said, it's well conceived on a good platform, because if this happens, it means 55 AU members will be trading together. It means a lot of things will happen. It means there will be a lot of things happening together, trading among ourselves. Easy movement is expected, but then that leads me to challenges. Inter-Africa trade challenges. One, and I would not say so much about it. I only want to look at one aspect: infrastructural deficiency. We have had infrastructure. We have linking up the countries within the African continent. it is sorely lacking and is a barrier to importers and exporters looking to trade with neighboring countries. And I will dwell on this. Let me mention logistics for the first time, as the first point. When we look at logistics, fine, you want to move goods from Nigeria to Gambia. Looking at practical experience, what we're experiencing now, I understand from information that going by sea, it takes 3 months. Wow. If you want to move 40-foot container in 3 months to a neighboring country, when will it get there? Is it that the African cannot come together and float a shipping company? Then when we look at these trade policies, what about the logistics? We're not looking at that, looking at I'm just talking of logistics of transporting goods alone now. It's terrible. It's challenging. By here, I live from Nigeria now, only two airlines operate Banjul. We have Airpeace that does not go every day. It goes Monday and Fridays. We have Askai that also not go every day, but maybe three days in a week. Now, you want to move your goods. For example, we want to move we want to move 100 kg for 40 companies. It's been difficult. It took us 2 weeks to move it by air. It took us 2 weeks. Then when we are looking at it, then moving, that's number one. Number two, the cost is so expensive that I don't know how many MSME will be able to engage in this journey like this with all these associated costs and could survive and could break even in terms of trade. That is logistic, just logistic alone. We can count it. We want to go to Togo. Togo is closer than Banjul. Last year, it was a hell of things to move goods from Nigeria to Togo. Then the question is, what's happening? I've spoken about the sea. Going by sea, it takes 3 months. Going by air, there are issues of cost of packaging is so overwhelming. Timing is unpredictable. We experienced something. We were to put fragile, just to label a product fragile. We were told we had to pay $100. Wow. Fragile that is free, but airline. Then we look at it, how will somebody survive? So then again, when you come by road, I understand, take about 3 weeks maximum. Why is it 3 weeks? On a good day, I understand from Nigeria to Banjul, it's just about 6 days maximum because of checkpoint, whatever, by car. But by lorry, by truck, it takes 3 weeks. Why? Because every point you must stop and check. You must stop and do documentation. Then we are talking about inter-Africa trade, and we have so much to achieve. Then if this inherent barrier, if this trade barrier is there, then how do we achieve that? Is it possible? Whereas when you want to move something from here to US, maybe 21 days, some could be less. And then we are talking about Africa that we are close, that even, I mean, you look at flying to Banjul in the recess of it, it takes just 5 hours. But you look at to move goods, it's now taking weeks. Then that is logistics. Then about cost. What about money? What about payment? Payment for goods is also there. These are challenges. What about a relationship? Within ourselves, we see experience of hostility. And we say free movement, free goods, free movement of persons, free movement of goods. Is it really free? Is it really free? So we're looking at this, and it's so challenging, and we're looking at it. But before going further, I look at manufacturing capabilities. Far back in Nigeria, yes, we know our problems. We know that there are so much infrastructural challenge in Nigeria, from energy to cost of funds to even cost of money to even technicalities, logistic-wise. That is based in Nigeria alone. So when the cost of production is already high in the host country, what is it going to cost
to move it to other. By the time you had all these costs, it's a problem, real problem on manufacturing. When you look at informal sector, where informal sector is difficult to control or suppress. For instance, Nigeria partially closed its land border in 2019 due to local rice production being undercut by cheaper imports. Then access to funds is also a problem. Rules of origin, country is a lot of challenges. A non-African country can come and they are seeing opportunity. They will come here and they can put things like we experience in Gambia now. Most of the people that invest in Gambia are non-Africans. So what happened? How did we get to that level? We'll see that, and even the Africans there, the Nigerians, I say they can't compete because the kind of fund these guys bring, the kind of advantage they have in terms of cheap funds is so much that they can compete. We've had case of somebody who brought goods in mass and chose to flood the market and distort the prices, that those who are small SMEs could not survive. They had to wait a little longer before they could sell their goods. These are challenges that I see that we need to address, but it's also an opportunity. Then the issue that SME survival under intra-African trade. Well, when we look at SMEs, we know very well that 90% of businesses and employees, 90% of business are in SME group, and they employ about 60% of workers. So for them to take advantage of the intra-African trade, there must be free movement. It is easily said, but is it what is it? No. When you look at cost, how many of the SME can do this? Their financing, we've talked about it. Technology, where internet is failing. Back home now, we have problem of payment because of internet challenges. You see us paying within Nigeria, debited but not paid. Reversal is becoming impossible. A lot of things back home now. So talk less of inter-Africa now. Whereas some people have gotten it right, yes, I can talk of Kenya. Kenya, you don't need to carry cash. They've perfected their payment system in such a way that with a touch of button, you can make payment. Even taxi drivers don't carry cash. It's so bad, but we are not on the same level. SMEs can use the internet to access buyers. What about e-commerce platform? Is it well developed? No. So these are how can SME survive? So SME cannot survive without government intervention, without government support, without deliberate support from government. And again, we have so many polarization under SMEs. The SMEs are also not working together. So for SME to survive under Inter-Africa, there is need for us to cooperate. There is need for us to leverage on government opportunities. There is need for us for cohesion and working together, and for us to use all platforms that are needed, like this platform, to advocate for MSMEs. Then I will skip this Nigeria participation in Africa trade. Then I'll look at what can we do. When we look at ECOWAS, ETLS versus after, we see that what will happen to ETLS with the commencement of Africa, ECOWAS and all other regional countries are building blocks for the after. ETLS has achieved 100% liberalization as against the after. ETLS will continue to operate side by side until it later achieves full liberation. There are better market opportunities for exporters from member states within ECOWAS market. All these are there, but let me say this: that when we talk about all these challenges, let me say, for example, the issue of transport. It's unfortunate that most of MSME look at product only. People are not looking at services. When I mean services, in terms of logistics, can we also look at people coming together to float shipping line? That's what I mean. So that Nigerian goods can be moved. Or can we also promote a kind of venture that will make haulage important? I'm aware we have investment in export trade that is supposed to be a kind of vehicle to promote Nigerian goods across the globe, especially across Africa. If export trade can be up and doing, engage the SMEs, be an aggregator, be an off-taker of some of these goods. This will be helpful. So we should be looking at what solution can we do, can we provide, or can we provide to address some of these challenges. The logistics. Can we have more people playing in the logistics? Can we have people that interconnect the countries across the border in terms of advocating, in terms of making advocacy, in terms of free movement of goods and services? Because it is easy said that the goods are free in movement, but the truth is that it's not free. From the experience we have, if not for the friendliness of Gambia, the goods that was in their custom bonded warehouse could have stayed there forever because of one thing or the other. I don't know why one would want to go to trade fair and somebody insisting on waiver. I think it should be given that, look, you are coming for exhibition. And when you come for exhibition, there are simple rules that governs it. But you see, we've been to Côte d'Ivoire at the time, and again, you see our goods lying down there. The fair have started. Nobody was willing to even clear it for us until we pay a certain amount of money. So can there be somebody that advocates? Can we have a group of SMEs that do advocacy for free movement, that work on the tenets of inter-African trade coming together? Is it possible? And apart from that, can we have a kind of collaboration, a kind of an offshoot of this engagement, like we are trying to do in Gambia now, where a company called African Connect, consist of diaspora working to see how they can connect Nigerian businessmen and Gambian businessmen. So we should go beyond this talking again, but providing solution and making sure that people embrace this solution. Why can we not come people that come do transportation and they focus on moving Nigerian goods? Is it possible that we do export trade as right in Gambia? Is it possible that we come together and have a kind of off-taker in some of these countries? But again, having that is not enough. What about the logistics, the technicalities, everything, all the barriers that are surrounded? But it can be broken down if we can do advocacy, a lot of advocacy. And again, is it possible that we get more airline to fly within the same country? In America, you can see how you can fly from one country to another country at very cheap. At $50, $100, you see people, you see a trip of 5 hours costing you less. But you see a trip of 1 hour here costing so much. To go to Ghana would be about 400,000 naira, which is less than 1 hour trip from Lagos. You see all this, and when we look at this, can it really work? But I think we need to talk about a lot of these challenges more and more and see how we convert. And like I said, the challenges could also be a solution, could be a business opportunity. Like I mentioned earlier now, that where people in the transport sector, can you come together? Can we show them these challenges that, guys in the transport sector, can we look at how goods, and can we have a clearing center in Nigeria that will aggregate those goods, maybe 20-foot container products of every SMEs, maybe about 100 SMEs like NEPC did, 40 companies, can they supply like 100 kg or 200 kg of each good and fill up a 20-foot container and move it? All this we are looking at. And what about tariff? Sometimes when under ETLS, we have cases of countries not honoring the ETLS, that no, ETLS are not supposed to pay duty, but people still collect duty. Rather, they will reduce it, but they still collect, they insist. So it's against the ECOWAS protocol. All these are challenges, and I think these are areas we really need to look at properly. And I want to say that this is very important, and we need a lot of advocacy, because African country, we are 55 altogether. But can the 55 work together? I will speak one language in terms of trade language. I'm not talking about speaking the same language. But talking the same way. That when we talk about trade, we should really mean trade. 55 AU members, 44 have signed. But when we look at this, where are we on it? We are still very, 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 very far in terms of trade. Trade is still very challenging. I think I would like to just stop here, because I want to take some questions and also do some exegete further on other things that may arise from this discussion. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. This is powerful. Thank you so very much for your time. It has shown that you have really put a lot of time into this. I think Mr. Boyede is getting ready for some comments. You want to make some comments?
Oh yeah, just to join you, Lady K, in thanking Mr. Faleke for trying his very best to compress what is actually a perennial problem across the Africa continent into the 20 minutes, 25 minutes that we have given him on this platform. I know that quite a lot of challenges have been thrown up, but I would also like to illustrate, for example, when I fly from Abuja to London, Ontario, in Canada, where I live also, I spend about 1,200 and something dollars to buy my ticket. It's a 19-hour journey. First stopover, usually in Paris, and then another 9 hours, I'm in London. From Abuja to Banjul, it's about, as the crow flies, it's about 3 hours, 10 minutes. It also costs, actually, it costs $1,300 for me to fly from Abuja to Banjul and back to Abuja. So, which means it's more expensive than flying from Abuja to London, Ontario. And I'm wondering, when I, as a businessman, add up this cost, does it make my product, which is of African origin, competitive and easy to gain a share of the Gambia market? Somebody flying from China to Banjul probably pays, if he takes a cheap economy ticket, he probably pays $1,100. So we've seen the cost, the high cost of movement of goods. But also, let's look at the cost of movement of persons, which goes back to the very first point that our guest speaker has made, the opportunity. Of course, it's coming out right now as a deficiency, where we have just two airlines moving from Nigeria across West Africa. So it now brings up the opportunity of investment in aviation. We have in Europe, we have Cheapo Air, EasyJet, and all of those airlines that they just give you the basic, they fly you to where you want to go at the cheapest fare. Do we have any such initiative on the Africa continent? It's part of the things that the AFCFTA should bring as a benefit. There are so many of these these instances, these challenges that we actually need to take a closer look on. Of course, AFCFTA cannot prosper if we are all speaking our different respective languages, and if we continue in the pre-AFCFTA culture of protectionism, every country wanting to protect its own industry by banning or making life difficult for products from sister Africa countries to enter them. All of this will have to come. I also want to quickly, in this short intervention, mention that at the point, I think in one of our earlier webinars, where the executive director, CEO of NEPC was actually the guest speaker, I had suggested the need for accentuated, for improved and enhanced economic diplomacy. A lot of these challenges that especially Nigerian products are facing on the ECOWAS sub-region will probably also be a matter, that can be more easily facilitated or resolved or absolutely removed with more spirited, active intervention of the government agency that is saddled with the responsibility. Mr. Faleke has said it, made reference to it. Imagine if NEPC were not on ground. Imagine if Nigeria High Commission, Banjul, did not accompany us to the cargo center. Imagine what could have happened to the first and second consignments. There is just no way you can underplay the role of the government facilitation agencies. And as we go on, I'm sure that a lot more participants on this edition today will throw up challenges and bring suggestions as to how NEPC can work with other agencies to bring solutions to these challenges. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Faleke, for the very erudite presentation. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay, thank you so very much. So we have Ibrahim Haruna. Are you there?
Sure, I'm here.
Okay, so let's have the points in summary, so it's easier for everyone to follow along.
All right, thank you, Mr. Faleke, for a job well done. And I think I'm just going to quickly give a summary of some of the points that you have touched, looking at the African continental free trade. And so you talk about some of the deficiencies in terms of infrastructure deficiencies. You talk about logistics, and you talk about how long it takes to actually ship product within Africa. And in terms of, it could take an average of 3 months, for instance, to ship the product through the sea to Togo, and 2 weeks through air. And you also talk about the cost, how expensive it is, right? Too expensive to do. Those are the challenges we're facing. Then you also talk about what can we do differently in terms of the free movement within the African continent, infrastructure improvement, partnership that we can actually help us to form a shipping company together that can ease movement. You also talk about access to funding, because sometimes you have people not even able to afford to actually fund what they need to do, and collaboration among team players. And I'm also adding another thing about change of mindset, which is also part of your presentation, because when you look at us as Africans, we need to have a change of mindset in the way we do things. Other thing that also is the intra-African trade is also training. Training in terms of training people at the demand different posts. And if you go into the border, for instance, we have the policies that can ease the movement across Africa. But if you're going from Nigeria to Ghana, for instance, the journey that's supposed to take 4 hours can take 8 hours. Why? Because when you get to some borders, those people who are manning the borders can subject you to stress in terms of not able to let you go. So we need to look into how to change that in terms of make sure people that are at various posts actually understand the job and understand the economic values of allowing things to move freely. And when you look at, Mr. Femi also mentioned about, when you look at moving trade stop between Canada and Nigeria, for instance, it could be even be faster, but in Africa, it takes so long. So we have to look at how we improve that. That way, ease of doing business will be very easy. And that way, in terms of revenue generations, and all the players can actually make more money. And when you look at the cost, everybody's talking about China, for instance. China, the reason why everybody goes there is because things are very cheap, right? So when you make your product to be cheaper, people can quickly buy it and you can sell more. So Africa need to start having a change of mindset of making sure the ease of doing business is easy, is affordable. That way they can get more players that can actually purchase that product. So this is a quick summary of what you captured. Again, thank you for your presentation, and thank you everyone.
Thank you so very much for doing a wonderful job all the time. How you are able to catch everything is still a mystery. Maybe you have a machine you are using that we don't know about. Okay, so I see some hands up already, and we have some questions coming in. If you have questions or comments, this is the time to raise up your hand. You can use the emoji, and you can equally write on the chat forum, and I will call you. I see Lady Bosu Solari. Yes, she was our guest speaker the last time. I can see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
You are very audible.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good evening again, and it's a privilege to be here again. And to thank Mr. Faleke, Babatunde Faleke, for coming on board. It's you're well appreciated. Now, my comments will be in no particular order. One is to say the issue of the sea transportation, ocean transportation, I'm sure by next quarter or this year, that will be addressed because there is a project funded by AFREXIM for Nigeria to have its own shipping line that will move towards the West Coast and Africa. We were supposed to have started last quarter of last year, but they said this quarter again, but we're not hearing anything about it. But it was actually discussed. We had a guest speaker during the Lagos Chamber Symposium, Export Group Symposium. So that's that one. Two, where we have issues about clearing of goods, I want to find out when those goods are moving, do we have somebody at the other end that should help us facilitate collection? Because sometimes if we're having these issues over and over, then I think we need to do things differently. We may find out how much, but we can find someone who can work with their customs there to do that. And that should be something that should be looked at later. Then another one is to look at, then coming back to MSMEs. When I spoke last month, that was what I dwelt on mostly. And I said, okay, I'm going to start to put this thing to practice. I'll be in Senegal next week for their trade fair. My one-way ticket is 293 by Air Côte d'Ivoire. And then when I'm coming back, I'll go to Abidjan and from Abidjan to Togo. And there's a platform we put together for processors. And I wrote it there that I'm going for market intelligence and market survey. I am not going to the trade fair to go and sell. So give me your products so that I can penetrate these 3 countries, find stores, find market people, I'm staying 8 days in Senegal, but coming to Côte d'Ivoire because I'm already in talks with their trade ministry and co. I am going to talk and then because I just spoke to and I said, you're going to pay some transportation. My hotel is not, if it's just my one way, that is close to 300. Because when I get to Senegal to the trade fair ground, I'm going to spend about 20,000 to get to the trade fair. Though ITC is going to facilitate because the journey is being facilitated by ITC or Wacom. And then there's no single person that wants to even contribute 30,000. Meanwhile, I'm going to look for market for them. And so I just left them. I can do my own. I can pay my way, even though I'm having to look for that money. If I have to go and collect cooperative to be able to go on this journey. So for those of us who are SMEs, we need to do things differently. You cannot start looking for handouts every day you need something. And that's our attitude because we want everything to be free. The day somebody tells you you will foot half of the bill, you will see most of us will not go. And the idea is that if I can go to these 3 countries with their products, their samples, because it's easier when you give somebody a sample, the person tries it, then the person can say, oh, I like this product, I want to start to market it. And then we can move on. But I don't understand. Our people believe that when you are going for trade fair, it is just to go and sell. What are you going to go and sell? Why not do your market intelligence and give some free samples so that people can, from experience, book for it? That is that one again. Then another one, Mr. Faleke, I'm very sorry if you don't like this one, but let me apologize in advance. When last year, December, we had export for survival work. In fact, I had told the ED, I saw him when he came for this domestic deal. And I said, you people did export for survival only in Abuja, what of Lagos? And he said, madam, are you sure people will like it? I said, Lagos, yes, so trust Lagos now. We don't carry last. In fact, when that thing came, it was so horrible. Thank God, almost all the state offices of NEPC showed up. But when it is time to go for trade fair, it is these people that will not show up for anything. that will be part of those who will go. It is almost the same set of people that are going every time. We cannot, or even if they have to go every time, is it possible for NEPC to say, okay, if we have to pick you from Lagos State, for instance, give us 3 people that you are going to carry their product and go and showcase it. Let it not be only those people that are having their products showcased. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for the in-depth analysis and comments. We go next now to, and for those that may not know, Osusulami was the speaker for our last program. And you can get what she said in our flip book, and the information will be shared later by the IT team. So the next person I see here, I see Dr. Akonji asking if Mr. Faleke can please give the advantages of ETLS over AFCFTA, if there's any. And I think the answer is already there. He said is on his slide, if you can access it. Don't worry about accessing it. You're going to have everything later. Okay? We usually...
I can actually advise that ETLS existed before AFCFTA was conceived. ETLS is simply an agreement among the ECOWAS countries that goods certified to be produced of origin of member country origin and go into the other country free of duty. But just like Mr. Faleke mentioned in his presentation and illustration, this protocol exists on paper. Even with all the intervention that we have had here twice now in Banjul, the customs still expect that duties have to be collected because they see themselves as revenue centers. Customs in the advanced countries of the world are actually seen and they act as trade facilitators, not as revenue centers. So because they see themselves as revenue centers, the objective of ETLS is already being smothered and not being achieved. Instead, steps Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, which is also now to enlarge, if you like, the concept of ETLS across the entirety. So the AFCFTA is a bigger variant of the ETLS, and put the two together until the customs services are made to understand that they are supposed to facilitate easy and zero duty movement of goods across the nations of West Africa and ultimately of Africa. When the AFCFTA actually plays out, we are not going to achieve the economic objective. I'm not going to spare the businessmen themselves of this. Businesses need to understand that, just like Mrs. Bosun-Sholari said, when you are going on to trade fairs, what you should have in your heart is not on the spot sales, is using the samples that you go with to help you to test the acceptability of your product in terms of quality, standards, and price. So exhibition samples are supposed to be just that. And on that note, I agree that we can start an advocacy that is not just Nigeria, Gambia-wise, but ECOWAS-wide, where we can begin to understand that the goods that are coming in for trade fair are actually just trade samples and should have an automatic waiver attached to them. The Form K or whatever it is in Gambia is supposed to be automatically generated because it is trade samples. So when you understand, we have an entrepreneur on the Nigerian pavilion right now in Banjul, who understands all of this. He was brought among those, the 30 that came in October in the pilot scheme activity that NEPC and SMEDAN sponsored in October last year. And 6 weeks before the trade fair in Banjul was to start, Shoe Planet, he's an entrepreneur. He already had all his arrangement in place, including personally approaching the Gambia High Commission in Nigeria to explore the possibility of obtaining a duty waiver for his shoes. Now that is being proactive. That kind of a person is not going to shy away from contributing 100,000 naira to the cost of displaying his product to explore a market. So that's where I say I'm not going to spare the businesses themselves, because they need to understand that government is not going to continue to carry their goods under diplomatic tag and labels into a country. Government will go back, and those goods are going to need to go into that country at the cost. I'll come back later. Thank you.
I still have one issue to tie to what you have explained, because I was raising that it wasn't that I didn't understand ETLS and after, but I raised that just to bring out what you have said and what Madame Bosun has also mentioned. There is need to have, because everything that we are talking about is supply chain. It's supply chain in terms of export, import. So there's need to have a process flow that will be understood by either side, either importer or exporter. And in the process of having a process flow, we also need to have information flow chart. Information flow chart. If the information is not there, somebody could be clueless and is going into trading, into this kind of a cross-border trading. But if there's information chart flow, he will know what is expected of him. Those who were feigning ignorance, as mentioned by Madame Bosun, they need to be educated and they need to be informed properly. And there should be penalty, because if there's no penalty for such ignorance, in quote, people will continue to take advantage. And we are very fond of it in Nigeria, because when we do anything wrong, there's no consequences.
Okay.
That's where I'm going. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are going to be giving 2 minutes to every speaker. Okay. Please go ahead, Mr. Faleke.
Yes, I want to make 2 interventions. One, I think what Mr. Boyede have said is very, very important, and I will latch on that to also say, I don't know the name of the last person that intervened now. I think when we talk about information charts, I still blame. I will still want to put it at the doorstep of the businessmen. I wonder, because when we rest on government for everything, we will fail. Government is not a businessman. Government does not have role playing. It's just facilitator. Then that bothers me when we are talking about information chart. What are the chambers doing? And I think we should look at our chambers properly. There are so many chambers, city chambers, bilateral chambers of commerce, this and that. Are they doing the needful? These are the reasons why I felt that we should belong to one trade group, whatever it is. And that trade group needs to be functional. If I have Banjul Nigeria businessmen and I have Nigerian Banjul businessmen, life should be simple for me. Why? Because the Banjul Nigeria should tell me what they want, and the Nigerian Banjul should tell me what they want, and we should be able to intervene and talk. So most of these chambers exist just in name. So we need to look at that. And I also want to say that most of us, I've said it, play only in the area of product. What about services? What she has thrown up now is a service center. It should be a kind of logistic, but in terms of information dissemination. I mean, if you belong to a group like, this group now is providing this information free. I'm not sure anybody's paying to participate in free lunch. So these are the areas we need to do. Then I also need
the businessman, the private sector to do more advocacy. We are easy to pinpoint and direct challenges to maybe institutions, but there are areas that we can talk better than a government person, where sometimes in-house we could do some things, but then if it comes from the private sector as the kind of advocacy, make some noise, do what it did to form a pressure group. It's done everywhere in the world. Pressure group, lobbyists, trade lobbyists. We don't have that in this country, and it's a problem. Then responding to participation in trade fair, I think with apology to Madam, I've said it. If you look at the people that went to Togo trade fair, 75 of them have never participated in trade fair. We took 100%, but 25% they declined it. The Gambia one was as a product of what we did last year. So those who made contact last year are the ones to consolidate. But we can assure you that we have made our point clear, and I've said it, and I think I can be honored. I can honor my word that look, anybody that has participated in trade fair 3 times with council is not likely to gain any opportunity, except you have a kind of order that you feel okay, you want to use the fair to also to launch it or fulfill that order. I think that's what I want to say for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. I'm going to read a few comments. Please, I'm going to read a few comments, and I see some hands up. Solomon Ogunleye, I see your hand up. Please hold on. Alima Abdullah says, why do we hate ourselves so much? Imagine moving within Africa, even to attend these shows. One cannot even afford it. The government should please do something. Unless you're extremely rich, exports is not for the layman to start. That is comment from him. We'll call for comments later. And Joe Ita says there has been an effort for some time, long time ago, by Nexim, with support from Nexpo Trade, about a sea link project to float and manage ocean lines along the West Coast. Any updates on what stage the project is now? Dr. Joe Eater. Do we have answers from our people?
I want to believe that sea link is probably one of the things that Mrs. Bosun Sholari was talking about. And I also want to believe that to be politically correct, she's abstaining from being the one to issue any authoritative statement. However, from my own little knowledge, I was a part of the initial concept of sea link when Robert Oria was the managing director of Nexim. I was a part of the board of Nexpo Trade that attended the official launch by the ECOWAS Commission of Sea Link in Accra in those days when it was floated as an investment company. However, with the exit of that MD, it appears that subsequent administration did not pursue it. But it remains a very plausible project. It remains a very desirable, and not just desire in terms of passion, an economically needed project on the coast of Africa, West Africa. Because, I mean, you want to send something from Nigeria to Cotonou, if it's not going by trailer from mile 12, mile 2, then it has to go to Napoli in Roma in Italy before it comes to Cotonou, which is just 3 hours next door by truck. That's the challenge that we are facing right now. So I imagine that Mrs. Sholari should have more information, at least more encouraging information that will serve as answer to Dr. Joe Ita's question. But I know that Sea Link was actually properly packaged, almost ready to be launched, adopted and accepted by the ECOWAS Commission as at the time that this is, and it even became something that Central Africa was then advocating and begging to be allowed. It was supposed to be an ECOWAS project, but Central Africa actually raised investments into Sea Link. That's the much I know. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so very much. I'm going to ask Solomon Ogunleye to please unmute.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Very clearly.
Yes. I want to start from where Mr. Abuede ended. In my retirement, I worked for ECOWAS on consultancy, myself and a Ghanaian, and we work on ECOWAS common code, and we work on ECOWAS common tariff. I thought myself and a Ghanaian, we thought the ECOWAS Anglophone countries, whilst another delegation went to Francophone and Portuguese-speaking countries. We came across this same thing he was talking about from the Chamber of Commerce, Liberia, Commerce. When, because of our discussion, we talked of this logistics, and he said the Chamber of Commerce is then, I don't know whether another organization is involved. He said they are working, Chamber of Commerce across West Africa, they are working on floating a shipping company then. He talked of that, but I don't know what has happened to that. But with what Mr. Abuede said now, I think that should be it. Now, on goods, let me talk on custom aspect now. On goods now, there is, in terms of logistics, there is a ECOWAS common code that sort of regulate all movements, logistics, truck movement and everything under ICRT, Interstate Road Transit Program. That once a goods is loaded at one customs point and it has achieved all the custom documentation, it can move across West Africa unhindered. But I don't know whether there's political will, because that's the problem with all these ECOWAS protocols. Political will of member countries to adapt to the protocols. That is a exhibition goods. When you are carrying your exhibition process, the ICRT thing I talked about must be good that are ETLS compliant. Goods originating, ETLS can be for, you know, the essence of common code and the common tariffs are goods land at any port of the member countries, and it can be moved from that port to another country, I mean, under ICRT protocol. ETLS, as Mr. Abuede said, I mean, all of us, you are an exporter, I'm just a consultant, you know that it must be compliant to the protocol. The country of origin, I mean, the percentage of input from the sub-region into the goods will move as as goods from one country to the other. Then exhibition, when you are going with your goods you are going to exhibit, you don't need to pay duty on it. I mean, that is sure. You don't, but you must have done your process, I mean, your documentation right from your point, and you move it. They may want to take advantage of you if you are not conversant with it along the way. For instance, if you want to move your goods by truck from Border to even to Togo, when you get to Benin, at each point they'll be stopping you. All those then that they'll be stopping you. But if you know what you are doing, it may take a little time, but you can talk your way out till you go up to Ghana, anywhere within West Africa. Goods on exhibition you are taking for exhibition purposes is devoid of duty. Is devoid of duty completely. It's in the common tariff, because West Africa now runs a common tariff and under a common code. But the political will is the problem, and there are associations that work on that. Like, because when we were in is it Sierra Leone now? So they are linking up with Nigerian Chamber of Commerce, NASIMA, ICC, and not the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and not they were telling us they were linking up so that they can form a front that can work for businesses. That much I know,
Okay.
but I know.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Ogunleye. You're highly appreciated. I see your end, Patrick Odegu. I'll come to you. Thank you, Mr. Ogunleye, again. Let me read some of the comments here. Again, we have Omolara. Hello, everyone. I'm Lara Johnson. Thank you, Madam Solari. You are speaking well. Okay, thank you for the compliment. Miriam Mashanu, she said, good evening, everyone. The present lady speaker. I'm also an invitee of Fiera Fair Senegal next week. Madam Solari, can I have your number? I'm residing in Kano. Let us talk in private place. Madam Solari, can you share your number on the chat? Is that okay by you?
I think they should do that privately. That's what
Okay.
the person wanted.
Okay.
I think they can private chat each other.
Okay. And I have Omolara again. Some of us have products for exportation, but we don't have market, and we keep renewing our certificates, including NEPC. How can we grow as SME? It is the same set of people that goes for programs. My products are beans flour, unripe plantain flour, peeled beans. Okay.
If Mr. Faleke doesn't mind, I would like to answer this one. Please, I am not a government spokesperson or an NEPC apologist, but I would like to put the truth out there so that it's known. In Gambia right now, NEPC bought stands and is trying to encourage 40 MSMEs, maybe about 60% of them, those who participated in the pilot project in October 2022. But the truth is that there are more products out there of companies that NEPC knew or who confessed to the NEPC ab initio that they cannot participate in person at the trade fair. NEPC made arrangement with with Measures Africa Connect Gambia Limited, and they're actually having the products of these companies on display. With reports going back, I know, for example, that Flour Mills has its product on display. Flour Mills is not coming there to sell anything, but Flour Mills is targeting that place as a market where, if any interested, importer comes, then they start to officially strategize to come into the Gambia market. So for Ms. Omolara, I know, I think there are a few companies out there, AM Foods, I can't remember the names right now. At least I know about 2 or 3 companies, Green something, not Green Africa, where I know that there are about 2 or 3 companies out here in Banjul who are displaying your kinds of products. So what am I trying to say in essence? Please enhance your relationship, your contact with the NEPC, and I'm very sure that nobody would have turned you back if you had submitted samples for the Gambia International Trade Fair. Again, I don't hold brief, but I want to state the true position of things so that we absolve NEPC of unnecessary and unfair assumption that they only have their cronies going for trade fairs. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We have Patrick Odiego.
Yeah, thank you so very much. It has been a very interesting program and deep insight from Dr. Faleke. If he's not a doctor, please include that doctor in your resume. I want to also appreciate Daddy for the awesome work he has been doing. We are really, there's one sector that really needs to come on the plate. Solid mineral sector. the jewel of this country is solid mineral. If we don't take solid mineral to proper export, we are leaving a lot of money on the table. We are leaving a colossal amount of money on the table. One of the products that is used in most of these sub-African regions is barite, because everybody is looking for gas. Meanwhile, Nigeria is importing gas, importing barite, the product that is available in more than 9 states of this country. So there has to be a structured system to take products to export. I have a contract for zinc, but that day I said I should have to come into the WhatsApp platform to discuss that, right? Now, I want to give some information on SeaLink. SeaLink has finished doing dredging, charting naturally, with the Navy. They've charted from Lokoja to Burutu, and they've seen areas that is navigable. From Onitsha Port, they're actually moving products now from Lokoja to Onitsha Port. Those companies, those ceramic companies in Lokoja are now using SeaLink facility to move their products to Onitsha and so many other places. So more or less, in less than 2 months, SeaLink will be fully operational. They've finished the charting and they've seen that the height of the water with the rainy season coming up will be very high before they start the dredging. So that's how much I know about SeaLink. So it's still on. It has not gone out of, it has not catch most of those Nigerian harmattan. So Daddy, I want you to not to sleep tonight. I want you to think solid mineral. I have a zinc order in the region of $40 million. In the region of $40 million. When you look at this amount, it sounded like a far fetch. But I can tell you about a company that started mining in Osun State. For over many years, they were struggling to look for money. Nobody was giving them a dime. Yeah, guess what? Last year, the cumulative turnover was $400 million. You heard me right, sir. In Osun State, $400 million. So solid mineral is something that we are leaving Chinese people to be cutting away our wealth. I'll give you an example, sir, before I conclude. If you move zinc and lead from Nigeria, those zinc and lead, apart from zinc and lead constituent that is in it, there is silver and gold. Nigeria is not earning a dime from it. And the reason is because our institutions are not interested. Our bank, instead of funding the mining company to do the needful and build their capacity in terms of processing to warehouse those values in Nigeria, continue to speak their English. Oh, we are not funding mining. Well, I don't know what else to say, but let me stop there. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, let me just react quickly to that, Mr. Odeogu. Thank you so much. But I'd like you to note that I caught my wisdom teeth on international trade activities at the Kensington Town Hall in London, United Kingdom, from 2nd to 6th of September 2001. It was my humble self with my company, Colonial Ventures Limited, that staged the most successful up till today exposition of Nigeria's solid minerals sector to the world. That was the Nigeria Minerals event at the Kensington Town Hall. And following immediately after that, today that we have a geological survey agency of Nigeria planted on ground in Abuja was also an offshoot of the efforts amid the immodesty in me bringing this information out now, because it involves me, because it was after the Nigeria Minerals event that it became known that there was already a concept note for a Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, where President Obasanjo agreed with the Minister of Solid Minerals that the country needed this, but the ministry should go and look for the funds. So I humbly led Kanu Agabi and 2 of his PAMSECs to Luxembourg in the European Union, where the European Investment Bank is located. I led them there to go and look for funding for the setting up of the Geological Survey Agency of Nigeria. The rest, they say, is history. So please, we are very mindful of the high potential of the solid mineral sector. And we will always work in collaboration with anybody. Yorubas have this little adage. They said it's the baby that opens its arms that an elder person can carry and cuddle. So we're not going to go out looking and spending our energy looking. Anybody who is set to explore the seed that we already planted, Talking Trade and Investment Global is ready. And of course, we'll be ready to continue to talk with you. By the way, try to talk to Chief Jola Pamo Molap in terms of the investment you are looking for to satisfy your order, or if you can reach the former governor of your state, Rashid Ladoja. They were the two who benefited most from the Nigerian Minerals event that I did in London. And I know that Chief Jola Pamo, for example, is still very active in Barracks. You can continue this chat offline with me, and I'll guide you. Sorry, I had to bring that information out.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your efforts and your knowledge are absolutely world class. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your contributions. And on the platform, I see some of Omolara says, okay. Yes, that was the last one I read earlier, I believe. Okay, Joe Ita said, I thank Mr. Faleke for a well-delivered paper. As long as African countries are not ready to support our AFCFTA policies with further domestication and matching on words with action, then the activity will not achieve much and in record time. I thank the organizers for this exposure too. Thank you so much for your compliment.
Would you like to have your business products or services featured during our TATRIG webinars or inside our webinar flipbooks? If so, we have a great opportunity for you to get your products or services in front of a large audience. You can place your adverts to be featured live during our Talking Trade webinars, which we also live stream on Facebook. Our TATRIG webinars host a huge audience from across the globe. Each year, our webinars run from February to November on the first Saturday of every month at 5 p.m. West African time. Placing your ads in our webinar flipbooks will expose you to a global audience and extend your reach, as our flipbooks are sent to our entire database of contacts and shared on our social media platforms. We have limited spaces, so make sure you get in touch with us to book your space. Please email femi@femiboyede.com for further details.
Thank you so very much, Shady, for the wonderful advertisement. What does this mean? This it means that we have so many platforms for you where we can showcase your businesses. You can please connect with us later. Please don't unmute yourself again when we meet you. Please, it's disturbing everybody. Okay, so you can connect with us later to advertise your business, and you have a very huge exposure. This note, we are trying to round up. Is there any further comments before we round up?
Can I just quickly say something? So this has been a great conversation, and I think Madam Bosun mentioned something about going to a trade fair and people not understanding that their product can be showcased for them for free, right? And also she talked about people not even asking about how they can support. So I think I'm going to encourage us as SMEs that we need to, in terms of being transparent and also creating trust, something that, and I mentioned the change of mindset the other time, right? So we need to start trusting each other. And if somebody is going to help me take my product to Kenya, we should be asking, what can I do to support you? You know, and the person should be able to also say, okay, this is, if you can just support me with 20,000, I will appreciate it, right? So we need to start talking. We're used to free thing, everything for free, right? I mean, the business of serving the people as well, providing services, and I can see other people, they will pay easily. They will pay, but when you see Nigerian, they're coming to you, they want to do it for free. You know, even if they have the money, I've seen people who actually have the money, they won't pay. Oh, can you help me? Oh, can you do this for me? Oh, this, right? And that is why our community were not growing. You know, when you look at China, they pay for services, right? They pay for amount within their community. The same thing with Indians. So we need to start paying for services and appreciating each other, right? And also make sure we're not just saying, help me, because the person is also spending his time, his energy, his money, his resources. So we need to start acknowledging ourselves and making sure we're doing it. And that's what's going to help to change Nigeria and Africa as a whole. So when you look at Africa, we're so backward because we're not doing that. And when you look at the developed world, the money flows easily. The money flows around, right? So the money you pay me goes to the community and it's going to keep flowing around. So please, let's, the 30 of us or more of us in this forum, start that going forward. That somebody's going to do something for me. I'm going to ask, so how much can I give you? How much can I pay for this? I should be able to speak and say, yeah, pay me this. And if I say, don't worry, don't pay anything, then that's okay. So that's my thank you.
Thank you so very much. Madam Omolara Akonji, I see
Yes,
your
I just want to build on what Mr. Haruna said. He picked the word from my mouth. I want to say that wealth building, it should be our mindset. Wealth building is a mindset. Once you start building your wealth, you become successful and you become free. So if this ACFA will work, the ACFA should be the one that will help us to build wealth in Africa, and we should not be like depending, free goods. There's no free goods in the world. So I just supported Mr. Haruna for what he has said. Very apt. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
So maybe our guest speaker will take about we should give our guest speaker some time to round up.
Yes, I was calling him to actually, if he has something to say, to round up.
Well, thank you for the opportunity once again. I just, Mr. Boyede, I've said everything. I wanted to comment on Dr. Patrick's request. But I am afraid my impression about solid mineral sector is that it's like a cartel that has been difficult to break. Because while in Lagos serving as regional coordinator, I put together very few businessmen that I wanted to go to solid minerals. They put almost 120 million together without borrowing. But I encourage them, don't borrow. But we got, honestly, it was grace of God that it could bring their money out. So solid mineral people are very interested in it. They are willing to do that. But maybe if Okuboyede will still be the one, Kufemi will be the one to coordinate it because of his integrity, well, we can still do it. But on this topic, I really want to thank you for the opportunity. And also want to say that, look, this is not going to be a one-off program about SME benefit after. After it's really for MSME, because if you look at Gambia as reference, they are import-dependent country. Yes. But surprisingly, Nigeria is not playing well there. So they don't produce anything, and there are opportunities there. Is it fish? Is it granite? So much things that they just turn themselves to tourism. And this is another area. When I came, I invited a tourist as somebody who is tourism. I said, look, have you ever explored Gambia? And he was talking about cost too. So we need to look inward, and SME, we should be more coordinated. And like I used to say, it's not only when we have large people. If you have 3-4 people that can do it, like Mr. Femi also mentioned now, we were able to put together African Connect Gambia, who's helping Nigerian. You don't need to go to Gambia to make an inroad now. We established that because of the trivia we did last year, at the solo exhibition, and it's working. People a lot of contacting them, and it's not going to be product alone. Services also is one of the things we are trying to look at. So on this note, I want to thank you, and I want to say that the challenges look big, but there are also opportunities for us to turn to money. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Thank you so very much. And before Mr. Boyede, we appreciate everyone. I see Madam Kudirat Abiola Adegoke says, I'd like to thank the panelists for organizing this program. My name is Dr. Kudirat Abiola Adebuki. I'm a director of the Job Shea Butter Limited. I have good products, but I don't have customers. Please, how can you help me market my products? I think Mr. Boyede is going to address this while he's thanking everybody. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you so much, Lady K. Thank you so much, Mr. Faleke. Thank you, Dr. Molara Akoji. Thank you, Bosun Sholari. Thank you, Ibrahim Haruna. Thank you to everyone who has participated in today's edition. And like I said, these are not lecture rooms. These are engagement events where we don't just round up and go to sleep until the next month's edition, but where things that are said here actually constitute food for thought. And beyond the thought, we also try to put action to them. So I'm very sure that as an aftermath of today's discussion, there are a few things that the team is going to bring up together that will, of course, find their ways not only into our flip book, but also to the relevant agencies of government. I didn't hear that question when I was putting on the chat room that, okay, I'm currently in Cape Skirring. It's actually in Senegal, not in Gambia, with the two biggest players in Gambia's import and distribution industry. Who else do you want to buy Nigerian products and all of those things? I see this as really, really what NEPC has supported from last year is just beginning to yield fruit on a daily basis. And with all the suggestions that we have had from you guys today, put together, knit together, and to form a proper strategy, I think it's not just Nigeria, but the entire West African sub-region that will benefit from the efforts that you and I are putting together. And not forgetting retired Controller Solomon Ogunleye. Please, we will need you to educate us more on the ICRT and how this can work, because some of the initiatives that are in the pipeline right now is actually beyond Sea-Link. Sea-Link aims to acquire outgoing vessels. We're also thinking of Road Link, where people who have the money and the guts to invest in logistics can actually procure trucks that will take the ECOWAS route all the way from Mile 2, Seme, Cotonou, Lomé, Mali, and wherever, all the way to Dakar. And if this can take place within 17, 18 days, I mean, for now, an illustration, I'll round up on that. You buy a carton of Indomie noodles from Lagos Dufil, the United Food, at 5,000 naira. It costs you another 5,000 naira to bring the Indomie to Banjul. Meanwhile, the Indian guy who flies his Indomie from China gets it to the same market all the way from China. It arrives at 7,000 naira equivalent, just for illustration purposes. How is the man from Nigeria likely to benefit from that trade? But a truck will take the same box of Indomie from Mile 2 all the way to Banjul for 300 naira, except that you will have to wait for 2 months for it to arrive in Banjul. So then there's the economies of scale, the time value of money, and how this works out. Once with government support and with PPP that works quite well, once these trade infrastructure deficiencies are worked out, once the ECOWAS protocols and what the ECOWAS community is spending so much money, look at, we just learned about the research that Controller Ogunleye did with ECOWAS. Once this can come to play, like Mr. Faleke said, without the impediments of crossing the borders. If a code is enough for a driver to produce, and he will get from Lagos to Dakar in 7 days, I think that that is fantastic, and that is actually going to be the beginning of the realization of the dream of Africa's single market becoming the biggest economic bloc in the world in the 21st century. On this note, I want to say a very big thank you again, and to ask all of you participants to please join me in thanking this wonderful team that I know was manufactured from heaven and handed to me on a platter of gold. Dr. Taiwo, Lady K, Mr. Ibrahim Haruna, Sheifumi, Tomini, and I imagine I haven't forgotten anybody. Okay, maybe on this note, we'll meet again on the first Saturday of April. And I believe that God will keep all of us in one piece and in progress.